Welcome back to the White Gray Black Weekly Manga Podcast. My name is Bruce, the producer of the White Gray Black YouTube channel. With me again this week is Gautam.
Hello, hello.
This is the podcast where we talk about all the latest, greatest Japanese manga releases. Welcome to a little manga book club. Thank you for being here. This week, we are going to talk about the bombshell of incest. You heard that right. Potential incest that dropped in Oshi no Ko, chapter 123. We're going to catch up on all the new shonen, see how they're doing. And we'll have a final check-in on Mashle, Magic, and Muscles as that published its final chapter back on Sunday. Let's kick it off with a bang, or what hopefully does not end in any banging. Oshi no Ko, in the end of the last chapter, Ruby... I guess I will say Aqua confronted Ruby about their reincarnation, which has not come up in a long time.
Right. And because Ruby was spiraling, right? Completely spiraling.
So she is she's happy, right? That her sensei, who she was very attached to this is all chapter 1 stuff. So... I kind of want to go back and read chapter 1 after this just to refresh my memory, but there's a lot of sort of both of them dealing with this truth that they know about each other, because I think the reason Aqua reveals this is that he wasn't sure. I think he had his suspicions, but he knew we'd gotten him following around her old mother and stuff like that, and we got some backstory in the last couple of chapters about how bad a mom she was, blah blah blah. But yeah, this is an emotional breakdown for Ruby, who's oh my god, it's she goes through and says, I don't think I grabbed pictures of it, but she goes through and is essentially I named the group so that you would find us. I was watching for you at every performance we had. It's clear that some of the moments that we did not follow Ruby for were planned for her around attracting the attention of this doctor, this sensei.
She did say it throughout the manga too, or
she did. Okay, I wasn't remembering.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, and you can see the star in her eye go from black back to its normal shining.
Yeah, I think I have that one here. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a cool. She turned off the Sharingan from Naruto, and
I was literally gonna mention I've never seen Naruto, but I know there's something about eyes and Sharingan, and I was gonna say something, but
yeah, yeah. I think, and I read 15 chapters. I was pretty far behind. I read 15 chapters today, or 10. I don't know, something like that. But either way, it's very clear how kind of damaged Ruby is as a human being, because her parental figures completely abandoned her, and she didn't come to grip with that reality that she was unloved by her parents till just now, because logically you can't as a kid and be okay, right?
Yeah.
So
there's also kind of the reversal of coming to terms with sort of being abandoned and unloved by one parent, but having her sensei, this doctor who was kind of her other parental figure who she looked up to, who she, I think, had previously felt abandoned by, having that person come back is this huge emotional weight, lifted or placed on her, one or the other. It causes her to be very emotional, obviously.
Right. And it is looking quote unquote incesty at the moment, but
yeah, we get the appearance again of this weird. So there's sort of this very minor supernatural element in Oshi no Ko, which is just kind of the rebirth stuff, the reincarnation, and then this girl with crows. And we've seen crows, ravens. I think they're crows. We've seen her a couple of times. She showed up to, I believe, to lead someone to find the dead doctor's body, right? Wasn't she around for that part?
She led Aqua to his own body, and I don't remember if she led Ruby, right?
I think Kana found it, right? Or someone else? Was it Kana? I think Kana and Ruby saw it. or something like
Oh,
that.
got it. Yeah, I don't know. She talked to Aqua a few times and says cryptic stuff about the game he's playing.
Yeah, but she's kind of an unexplained. I don't know what to make of this character yet. Because again, she's only appeared a couple of times. She appears to have sort of meta knowledge, outside knowledge, god powers, god knowledge. I don't even know how to put it. But it's interesting here that she says like this is a clear failure caused by your naivete. You're not in the end, you're not cut out for revenge. But I guess I can give you a little bit of sympathy from your point of view. It'd be easier for you if she hated you.
I think this character is just Aqua's PTSD.
Could be.
Unless I'm forgetting parts where she actually appeared in front of other people, I think, which could be the case. Who knows? It seems like it could just be PTSD, and it is a red herring for the supernatural aspect of this, which there is one, right? There has to be. But yeah, I have no idea. I only say that because she's talking about every single one of his decisions and saying that's a bad move, because logically Aqua probably knows this is a bad move, or thinks, at least from his perspective,
right?
That getting emotionally entangled doesn't make for good revenge, right? Like, since he's solely committed to that, quote unquote.
Yeah, and it also, I mean, yeah, there's also an angle of getting the revenge involves committing a quote unquote unforgivable, a crime that will get him in jail or killed himself or something potentially.
Right.
Which is kind of another, I think what she's implying here is kind of another betrayal of, she's abandoning Ruby again for a second or third time, depending on how you look at it. Yeah, this is the weird part of Oshi no Ko for me. I don't quite know what to think about this character, what she means. I think potentially her just being internal PTSD is possible. I do think she appears more real than that to me. She appears more like I was saying, like the only other sort of supernatural element is this girl and the fact that the two characters reincarnated. So yeah, don't know what to make of her. All right, let's do it. At the very end, this is the last page of the chapter. There's a flashback to, I think, chapter 1 of Ruby saying, "You said that you'd marry me when I turned 16, right?" And then she's got a seductive look in her eyes, and she has like changed clothes and says, "Sensei, I've already turned 16."
I think your girl just needs some therapy. To be honest, because it sounds she gets like the same thing with Ai, right? She got like obsessed with her because her and the doctor are the only two adults in her life that made her feel any kind of good at her worst points. So I think, I don't know, it just seems like a kid confusing romantic love for just any kind of affection or attention in general.
Yeah, which is I'm not gonna say common, but is, well, we've seen this in stories before. Let me lead with this, because you and I have both read the entirety of Kaguya-sama, so we are familiar with Aka Akasaka's jokes. Is this going to be true? So I'm going to ask, is this going to be treated seriously? And I'm going to caveat that at the very end by saying, Oshi no Ko is going on break for 2 weeks. This is the last page we'll get for 2 weeks, 3 weeks technically. But that being said, do you think this is going to be just a haha funny joke? It's Aka Akasaka, or is this going to be treated more seriously as, okay, now Ruby has to deal with her feelings of, her knight in shining armor has returned and she wants him, but it's her brother now. What do you think?
It is definitely the latter. It is going to be, she's going to be obsessive over him, and it's going to be something they have to deal with, because the last few chapters before this were exploring the way Ruby thinks, how she's desperately alone, has always felt desperately alone, and like latches on and it like obsesses over the only two people that made her happy. So I don't think Aka will just be like, okay, let's turn this into a goof and walk away, right? Because they did the scene setting of this being emotional trauma for her,
right?
and
right.
this being an out, or this behavior is not like, I don't think this is played to be healthy or a goof. I think this will have to be addressed in one way or
another. Okay, I'll because I'll admit I am split 50-50 on this. I legitimately think page 1 of the next chapter could be like literally Aqua just being like, what? We're brother and sister? No, are you stupid? And it's like, gag panels. Like, I would not surprise me to read that. It would also not surprise me to read what you were talking about, which is, Aqua rejecting and her dealing with it, and this being a, no, you don't actually love me as your brother. You love the past doctor, but that is also wrong, and I'm not that person anymore. I legitimately flip a coin. I couldn't tell you which one it'll be. I'm kind of leaning towards I think this is a funny joke by Aka, but I don't know.
I am 100% confident that this. I'm sure there'll be a gag or two, but I'm 100% confident that this will be played straight, because otherwise it would be bad writing. And with all the scene setting Aka did, I just can't see that being the case.
I don't know. I don't think it necessarily turns into bad writing if the sort of. I guess I'll say this, that. Well, let's do it with a question. What do you? You kind of answered it already, I think, but let's reiterate. What do you think Aqua's response to her saying this is? Right? Do you think Aqua is instant rejection? Is he considering it? Is it confusion? How do you think Aqua responds to this?
I think Aqua will give a cold reply and leave, because he doesn't know how to respond to that. Because he doesn't know how to respond to most people's emotions pretty well, very well. Aqua is not really a person with high EQ. He is very intelligent, has a very high IQ, but in terms of responding to other people and addressing other people's feelings, he is maybe the worst character at that. I think that
I wonder about that.
The thing with Ruby recently, where he opened up, that he did that honestly, right, and that came from the heart. But I don't think he is capable of doing that very often, as seen with Akane and Kana, right? Like, he has been very bad about it.
Yeah. I wonder, I don't know if I necessarily agree that he's a low emotional type. I would say that he is more, it's more that he just does not care about that. I don't think he's necessarily bad or stupid at it. It's just that is not his priority. It has not been his priority for the majority of the story, right? The majority of the story has been, I am focused on manipulating the people around me or using the tools that I have around me to find my mother's killer, find the information that I need to get revenge, and then I will be safe. And I think that he is smart enough. I don't know. I think that he's smart enough to know about those emotional things, because I think he uses those emotions to manipulate, like you mentioned, Kana, and some of the other girls and people around him.
He's doing a bad job at manipulating anybody, because he's not good at that. And I think this is, like, after their big stage play with that rip-off Demon Slayer thing that they did, he had a meltdown about both of these girls liking him and had a panic attack, because he was just kind of he thought them liking him and being together with either of these girls is just a terrible thing to do, and like, it'll ruin their life. And he goes out of their way to help their image multiple times. I think while he says he's using them as tools and manipulating them for his cause, it's just something he's telling himself.
I think you're right on that.
He cares too much,
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right that the uncaring, I am only focused on revenge facade has fallen a couple times, and you see that Aqua is actually, in fact, just like usually a decent guy who doesn't do he says internally, oh, I'm doing everything to get this revenge, but that is not actually what he's doing. He's actually doing real helpful things. We'll see.
He's just deluding himself, right?
Yeah. I think he is more, I guess I will say this. I think he is more, he's more cognizant of other people's feelings than he necessarily is of his own. I think he's aware of these girls liking him. He's aware, and he knows that he can use that. And he now I think understood I think he understands the way Ruby feels from all this stuff. So I don't think he's like, I don't get it. I don't get why other people feel like this. I think it's more that it's the his feelings that he hasn't really dealt with, rather than he doesn't understand how other people feel. So,
yeah, it's not emotional intelligence. That's the wrong word. I think he's just awkward. I think he's just an awkward person. And doesn't know how to address other people's emotions, even though he understands them.
It's a little bit of like Chunibyo ish,
yeah,
right? Where it's like he's kind of thinks he's the dark demon lord bent on revenge, but he's actually not. He's like role playing that. And I do think that the story is generally moving in a direction where he will either have to choose to give everything up to get that revenge, or not give it up and not get revenge, and that'll kind of be his big choice at the end. That's kind of where the story seems to be going to me, but we'll have to see. It'll be an interesting 2 weeks. I will say this panel, or this chapter, has set the world on fire. I checked the Oshinoko subreddit. This chapter has, I think, like 1,500 upvotes, and it had like 3,000 comments, like double comments. There was someone posted a picture of the /A 4chan anime board, I think, was talking about this, or maybe there's a manga board. I don't remember, but or no, it was like live Discord reactions when the chapter dropped, and people were like, because this has always been like a bit of a meme in the background of people talking like, oh, if Ruby knew that Aqua was sensei, she would be in love with him. Haha, incest, LOL. I'm sure there's some people that take it, quote unquote, seriously, that the shippers or whatever you want to say. But this has always been kind of a joke. And in the span of 2 or 3 chapters, Mengo and Akka have they haven't fully resolved it, but they have kind of presented exactly what all these people were joking about for a long time, which is another one of the reasons that makes me think this might just be played off for a little bit of a joke. I still am unsure about it, but
I don't remotely see that. And
we'll have to see.
I don't think it's even people calling it with a joke. I think this was an inevitability. Like, I feel like it's not calling it when it's obvious. You know what I mean? Because this was about to happen. It's in the character. I think that it's like obvious character. I think.
Well, I think that the obvious part was like the twins will figure out at some point who their past lives were. I think the fallout after that of, okay, does Ruby then turn that into, I'm literally in love with my reincarnated brother, ex-doctor sensei, or is it more like, I'm so happy my protector is still here, I do not want to bone him. And I'm just saying, I think it is wild and funny that Akka went with she literally like changed her clothes and has flirty eyes at her brother, and that's wild.
I just think that is. I don't know if this seemed like a twist to people. I don't. This seems so obvious to me. I guess. I don't know. It was just a moment. I don't know.
Yeah, this isn't necessarily a twist to me. This is clearly one of the several paths that were obvious, but. I need to go back maybe and read the last 2 or 3 chapters, because in the flashback stuff, I do remember a couple weeks ago in the flashback stuff, Sarina, right, Ruby's past persona, whatever you want to call it, I think it showed her being like a lot more in love with Sensei than I remembered. Although again, I haven't read chapter 1 in however it's been 2 years. So maybe that I think maybe was more of the like, hey, remember she was like actually desperately in love with this doctor at the time. I do think you're probably right. Oshinoko has not played a lot of things as straight jokes. Sometimes they're a little funny, but it's usually not like a chapter ending bombshell comes back on the first page with a joke, right? Kaguya-sama did that.
Right.
Sometimes, right? Not every time, but Oshinoko doesn't really do that. So I think that you're right. That I think that this will be treated probably more seriously. Although I will say, if it turns out that it is literally treated more like a joke on page 1, like you're saying, I don't think that would fit the characters in the story quite as well. But I would not put it past Akka to troll us like that.
I just don't see how that. It's like, hey, let me tell you a character's trauma. Now let's dunk on it. I don't know. That just seems crazy to me.
Yeah, I guess it would be more like Aqua's response to this might be more memey, and then Ruby's response to his rejection or whatever might be the serious part, right? Like,
I think she'll keep pursuing him, right? I think he'll be awkward and leave, and then she'll keep trying.
mm-hmm.
I think that's how it goes, right?
Yeah, I think that's maybe more the part where I'm confused, is that his response could be like a heartfelt, like, no, I'm sorry, you have to move on, you can't, we're brother and sister, or it could be like you were saying, just a cold, just kind of like, what, no, move on, and then she'll have to keep trying. I think what the shippers and the memers and the people who were kind of playing into this previously are wondering is there a chance that Aqua is like, yes?
No.
I don't think so, right? I think that's clearly not on the table, but lots of people hold that hope in their hearts, Gautam, so don't let it die.
I will fucking eat a shoe, and I'm not even joking. I'm not even kidding. I will eat a shoe if that happens, because it's not happening.
Is there a potential? Here's a question. Let me go back to one of the past pictures. I think it's the... Okay, so this is the very first page of this chapter. Aqua is not very emotional here, is what I will say. Is it possible that Aqua plays into Ruby's crush, love for him, and uses that to manipulate her? Because I think that is an option. I think him sort of saying, yes, I love you or something, but it's not the truth. It's a way to manipulate her to get her to do something that he wants, right? I could see that being an option. I don't know how likely that is. I think it's less likely, but I could see that being an option also.
I guess I just haven't seen him manipulate the girls, right? Like, he's just gotten them career opportunities and helped out their public image and saved one of them from suicide. Narked on himself, so the other one didn't get a scandal out of her. Like, he says he's manipulated. Like, he was talking to Kana, right? And he gave off a vibe that he flattered her slightly, and she was very excited. He was like, haha, so easily manipulated. It's like, you're not manipulating anyone.
Well, you've been nice to a girl who needs it. Like,
yeah, exactly. You've manipulated like nobody so far, right? Aside from like directors and like I don't know, reporters and shit. Aside from them, I don't think you've manipulated any of the girls near you.
Yeah,
Akane has helped you, sure, but she wanted to do that, and she found out all that shit on her own, right? She's
that's true. I don't know.
Yeah.
This is so interesting, I think, to talk about, because I think you're right that I think you've hit on probably the most likely path forward for the story. Aka and Oshinoko has not always chosen that path, which is why I'm kind of excited to see where this does actually go. Because I could see it being something wild or something a little weird or something a little not totally typical here. So,
can you think of a time when Aqua's like manipulated one of the girls? For his benefit?
He used Ruby when she was doing her reporting job to get a hold of one of the dudes in show business, right? But that was less like, he wasn't really like putting her in a bad situation. He was just kind of saying like, if you're in this situation, which is good for you and publicity and all that, I will also use that to my benefit. I want to say he used Akane also a little bit to get in with someone, but you're definitely right that he is not taking advantage of these girls in a way that puts them in bad or negative situations. He's taking advantage of them in a way that lifts them up or puts them in like more prestigious show business situations so that he can then also be in those situations. So it is kind of a win-win. There's a little bit of the stuff with Kana and the director that I'm trying to think about, where there was like the picture was taken for the tabloid or whatever, but I don't remember how much of that was set up with Aqua or not, or if he gained anything from that.
He didn't set that up, and I don't think he set that up anyway. Not that I'm remembering. And he was about to help out Kana, but she's like, I don't need it. Let's fucking help. And then he did anyway, right? I don't know. It's just funny. Like he is a good manipulator. He is intelligent. He has a plan, but I don't think he manipulates the people he likes, even though he claims to want to, or claims he did or can.
Yeah, which I think leads, and this will be my final thought here. I thinking about where the series is going, I think this it could end it could end in a bad or melancholy way where Aqua, dies to get revenge and then lets everybody else live their life, or it could end in a good way where he chooses not to do that. I think this is more leaning towards it's going to end in a way that is more positive for all involved and less revengey. I think that dealing with the revenge will be dealt with. I don't think this is going to be Aqua sort of giving up his humanity to deal the killing blow to this guy and then, going to jail or dying himself or something like that. I think the things that you pointed out, especially of Aqua tends to just be a good guy underneath it all, even though he thinks he's this dark, manipulative, bad boy or whatever. I think that it's going to be more, I think the story is more about moving on and coming to terms with you don't have to get revenge and and I mean, even in this chapter, we got a little bit of, do I have it here? Yeah, I don't think I got a picture of it, but there's a little bit of Aqua telling Ruby here that's like, I like our mom was a liar, but you're not, and you can't be that, and you shouldn't be that. You should be better than that. And I think that there's a little bit of that buried in Aqua also of being able to be better than your past.
Yeah, I agree, and I agree with what you said. I see this ending positively. It'll probably be the best revenge is a life well lived kind of situation,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they all need therapy.
Yeah, this is very. I mean,
therapist, man.
Yeah, well, the movie still has to be produced. That might be actually the end of the series. Might be kind of the ending of the movie being released, produced, because of the flashbacks we saw early on. But yeah, any other thoughts on Oshi no Ko? Was this 123?
Yeah, I see this concluding as well. I think with Kana quitting the Komachi, I think that is effectively wrapping up a big part of the narrative with the group, or hinting at a conclusion there, and somewhat wrapping up Kana's arc, more or less. We'll see more of her, of course.
She'll suffer more for sure. Kana will suffer more in this story.
And we have to see what Akane does to stop Aqua's plan.
We haven't talked about this recently, but Akane has gotten a lot of death flags. But she has not died. And there have been multiple times in the past, I guess year and a half, where Akane, it's been like, oh, she's like, that's a huge death flag. But Akka has not done it, which is one of those things that I mentioned earlier about Akka has surprised us with the directions he's taken, because he does not always choose the most obvious path, which he is sometimes writing in, right? The most obvious path is Kana would have, died for her involvement, and Akka would have sunken deeper into, darkness or whatever, but he hasn't done that. So I'm curious. I don't know. Oshi no Ko is great. This is a fantastic series. Akka Akasaka is an amazing writer. Cool. Let's see. I think the other big thing that happened here is, do I have Anime Expo next? I think I do. No. Wait, yeah, there it is. Let's talk about, because Anime Expo happened this past weekend. That is a big place for manga translation announcements, manga announcements, and anime stuff, anime adaptations. I will go through a quick bullet point read of a list, and you pick one or two things you want to talk about, and I'll pick one or two things. Let's go through all the anime announcements first. New season of Black Butler was announced. That show is like 10 or more years old. I think 2000, maybe 11 was the last time we got one of those seasons.
Oh man, that has been a while.
Yeah, we mentioned it maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, but the Suicide Squad Isekai was announced, which we called 2 weeks ago, I think. That's getting help from the ReZero author and the VV Fluite something song author. I don't remember. Those are two other kind of very popular isekais. The Hokkaido Girls are super adorable, which I read a lot of before it fell off and got really bad. That anime is coming out in January next year, 2024. A Studio Bones original anime titled Metallic Rogue. Looks kind of like a Power Rangers girl, maybe mecha thing. Looks really interesting. That was announced and was shown a trailer for. We got a trailer for Undead Unluck, which is done by David Production. David Production, most well known for JoJo and Fire Force. That's going to hit in October, so that's coming pretty soon. Not next season, but the one after.
They're great.
This is a big one. New season of Panty and Stocking with Garter Belt from Trigger, who acquired the rights back from Gynex.
That's the hypest one. That's the hypest one, and I won't have anyone saying anything otherwise. I'm so excited.
Let's come back to it at the end. We got a trailer for the Ferrari. What is the Beyond Journey's End is the English trailer for that, or the English title for that. That is coming out September 29th, 2023. So, and the first episode is going to be a 2-hour special, which I think this is great. I think because the first chapter of Ferrari is like, I don't know, 100 pages, 70 pages or something. So it's probably going to cover, my assumption here is this will probably cover all the way through Frieren and Fern kind of leaving together and starting their journey. That'll be the first thing. Pluto, which I've
the first
spoken,
episode?
Yeah, the first episode, the 2-hour special.
Yeah.
So, Pluto, which I have spoken very highly about, the Netflix anime is going to be 8 episodes, each near or over an hour long, which is about right on length. I think that is 60 or 70 chapters. So you assume that each chapter is generally half an episode. So this should be about right in timing. There's a brand new Spice and Wolf adaptation. No season 3 for those of us who wished for it. Nope, they are going to restart it, and then maybe we'll also get a season 3. Restarting the story, so that is also cool. Yeah, and then very popular VTuber Mori Calliope made a song for One Piece preview, and it is a bop, and it got like 1 million views in like 2 days or something I saw. So yeah, go check that out. She's very popular in Japan. The people in the West are a little split on her, but so yeah, which you want to talk about? You want to talk about Panty and Stocking with Garter Belt? Is that what you want to talk about?
Panty and Stocking, that's fucking hype. So, like, watch the first season. I know it's a little older now, but
how old is it now? 10 years old?
12? Is it like 2010?
I want to say it was like 2011, 2012 or something, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, 2012. You're right. 2012, so it's about a decade old now.
11 years.
It is hilarious. It has an amazing English dub because of all the fussing and cussing. And the voice actors just go hard. It's great. And it has an awesome soundtrack. That's something I'm hyped about too for season 2 as well. Like, the show's going to be hilarious, but the soundtrack is going to be played on repeat when I run.
Yeah, this is one of the few holes I have in my, because I'm a huge Trigger fan. I think I've seen everything they've done except for I've not seen all of Space Patrol Luluco. I have not seen all of is it like Skull Cop, Flame Cop? What's that?
Inferno Cop.
Inferno Cop. There you go. I don't see all of them, although I think Inferno Cop might still be Gynex branded.
No, that's Trigger.
Is it still Trigger? Okay, and then Panty and Stocking, I know is, although technically it is Gynex branded, that is still essentially just the Trigger team doing that. I have not seen this, so it's like I like pulled it up yesterday. I was like, all right, where can I watch it? And I almost turned it on. And I didn't. I was like, but I think I'm going to do it tonight. Because
awesome.
Trigger is I love pretty much everything Trigger's done. The things that I think that they have done poorly have essentially just been that didn't have enough episodes, and so it ended too soon.
I wasn't a huge fan of Ninja Slayer, but
I never saw Ninja Slayer.
It was a shitpost, just like Inferno Cop was a shitpost.
Gotcha.
But I don't think it was as funny as Inferno Cop. Either way, Penny and Stocking is great. I think you'll like it a lot.
I know I will. I've
raunchy,
seen scenes from it. It looks great. The trailer they released was hype.
It is very raunchy humor. It's not highbrow humor, so go in expecting raunchy humor.
Yeah, very sexual. I'm aware of what happens at the end even, but that will not ruin it for me. I'll pick my one little thing out. Let's talk about Suicide Squad Isekai, which we correctly predicted, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago when the leak of this came out that the DC and Wit Studio were going to work together. And we both said, I said, well, I think it's probably going to be like a Justice League Isekai, but it would probably be more interesting if it was Suicide Squad. And we got a trailer, and it is Suicide Squad, although the only person we saw Joker and we saw Harley Quinn. I don't think Joker's going to be in it. He's not generally part of the Suicide Squad.
I think it would be fun for him to be in another world. I don't want to see what he'd do. Like, what's he going to do outside of Gotham?
Yeah, but I do think, I mean, kind of reiterating what we said a couple weeks ago when we correctly called this one out. This will be pretty fun because the Suicide Squad is much more much less superpowered, much less overpowered, right? Harley is not a superhuman. Captain Boomerang, technically not a superhuman. King Shark, just a shark man. I'm trying to think who else. Like Deadshot, just a really good shot. Like most of these people are just kind of like, oh, I have a one specific skill. Most of them are not supers. I did see, I think, on one of the promotional images, Harley was wearing, I want to say it was like Deadshot and one or two other like pins. Let's see if I can go find that picture because I wanted to see.
I'm curious. They'll be overpowered in like an isekai, right? Because they have guns.
For sure, I think they will be.
I think it'll be refreshing because an isekai is usually a self-insert type of character, but the Suicide Squad being a bunch of shitheads in a new world sounds awesome.
Yeah, here we go. So she's got a pin. She's got 3 pins on here. It's like Joker, Deadshot, and Peacemaker. Which shout out to the Peacemaker TV show. If you have not watched that, that is a very good, very cool TV show. So I wonder if these will be like, if it'll be those 4. Peacemaker and Deadshot are pretty classic Suicide Squad members, as is Harley. Joker usually not, but I could see him being a part of it also.
Maybe it's just like maybe it's just because she loves him. Like the P&H thing, isn't that just put in Harley?
Yes. Yeah. I
or is that something else?
You called that correctly. Yeah, and it looked like most of the scenes that we saw from the trailer were all like pre-isekai. So I don't think they revealed too much. I don't know if this is don't know how far into production all this jazz is, but I'm curious about that just because I'm a longtime DC fan. Suicide Squad's always been fun. I really liked the most recent Suicide Squad movie that James Gunn put out. We saw that. I thought that was a very good movie.
That was great.
So yeah, I'm super interested in all that. Anything else on the anime announcements there you wanted to call out and talk about?
Do you think the Suicide Squad will be in the Isekai Quartet?
Do you know what the
Isekai Quartet is?
Yeah, that it's a show with all the Isekai people like together in a school, right?
Yeah. It's like all of the Isekais are all.
That would be funny if they did. I don't know how that works for anime production at all, or how that cooperation works, but that would be pretty funny for Joker to show up in that group.
Or make like a cameo at least. That'll be cool.
Yeah. Cool. Let's go to manga stuff then, because we got a bunch of English releases and dates and stuff. Smoky Mind the Supermarket with You, which we've talked about on this podcast before. English release slated to start February 20th, 2024. There will be a new Naruto one-shot focused on Naruto's dad that is incoming. I don't think we got a date on that just yet. Infamous original work, parentheses, it's a hentai, Metamorphosis by Shindo L, is getting a new hardcover English release early 2024. Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint, that I think you read that one, don't you, Gavin?
Can we pause real quick?
No, we're not going to pause. We're going to keep going. We'll get to the end first. It's going to be published in English by Eyes Press.
Okay, that's awesome. That's great.
Baki the Grappler is getting official English release from Kamiki. Kaoru Hana wa Rintosaku, that's The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity. English release in 2024 by Katakawa. Initial D is getting an English print release, which I don't know if we've ever had that in the past. And then Medalist, which is a great series that I talked about a couple weeks ago, also getting a release in spring 2024 from Kodansha. So anything on this list stand out to you that you want to talk about?
Yeah, maybe just one. Why what? Like, why is Metamorphosis? Like, did they release hentai in English? Did they do that?
I think they do. I don't think most comic places carry it. But I don't think Barnes and Noble is going to sell Metamorphosis, but they might. I don't know. This just came up on my timeline when I was like scrolling, liking all the new release, this in English, and it was like a couple of tweets were like, by the way, Metamorphosis is getting a new hardcover English release. I wonder. Hold on. I want to see if Amazon has it. Like, is it already up, and are we getting a new one?
It's weird that they announced that at an expo, because that's like...
Yes, that is also strange. Amazon does not have Metamorphosis by Shindo L listed. Wait, I spelled it wrong? No, here it is. Hold on. Paperback.
That's wild.
Box 1, French edition. That's just nudity. All right, well, I'm glad I didn't put that on screen.
It is
$30 paperback. I assume this is UK imports. It's in English, I guess. Maybe it's just hardcover bonus. I don't know. This is like one of the most memed hentai doujinshi
It is
ever.
So far. Yeah, it's so far from vanilla. Like,
it is also not a pleasant. Yeah, it is not normal by any stretch of the imagination.
So first, I'm surprised it's getting an English release. 2, I'm surprised that they would say that in Expo, or anyone would not say in Expo, because aren't there presumably like some children and underage people there? Like,
but I think you can say we are going to publish this, right? Like, I mean, I don't think you need to. You don't have to be like, here's preview pages of it, right? Like, you can just say, yeah, we're going to publish a copy of this.
And little Timmy sitting next to his mom's like, I've never heard of that. Let me look it up. You know,
I feel, man, it feels like one of those things that's like, if you're in the anime sphere or the manga sphere, it's kind of like getting rickrolled on the internet, right? But it's like on a smaller scale. Like if you're on an anime Discord or a manga Discord or any of those things, and you haven't been like metamorphosis, like, oh, go read it, it's so wholesome. That's literally like the rickrolling of the anime community. It is the evolution of go watch Boku no Pico. Right?
Boku no Pico, yeah.
Like that was the thing for like 10 years, and then metamorphosis is now sort of like the new, like, oh, go read it, it's so wholesome. Like go watch it. Yeah, that's sort of the evolution, right? Is you got rickrolled, and then if you're an anime community, you got go watch Boku no Pico, and then now it's go read Metamorphosis. That is the sort of general internet anime manga. You are getting trolled. This is not what you think it is, type thing.
Well, shit, man, sell the porn. I ain't against it. It's just baffling. It's just I didn't expect it.
Yeah, well, whenever 2024 comes around, how about this? If you're watching this and you own a copy of Shindo L's Metamorphosis or any other works by acclaimed artist Shindo L, let us know in the comments. I would love to hear about what is available in the West, because I have not purchased any of these. I'm not a manga collector. 2, that means I am also very much not a hentai collector. So
I like manga. It's okay, I guess.
Have you read? There's this really wholesome romance thing called Metamorphosis by Shindo. Have you ever read?
No. Let me look that up.
Okay. Is there anything else? Initial D is an interesting one, I thought, and then Medalist. I'm hyped for Medalist. That is an amazing series. And I really love the covers for Medalist. It's one of those things. It's like I might buy that because they're not too. Not that many chapters out, and the covers are like so good. And that's something, Medalist is something I feel like I could hand to like any age, any gender, any sex, anything, and be like, read this and I think you'll enjoy it. Like Medalist is like universally really pretty good. So
right,
excited for that one.
Honestly, all good stuff on this list of manga stuff you mentioned, especially Metamorphosis. The Naruto thing seems boring. They've done a few Naruto side stories, one with Sasuke recently.
Yeah, wasn't that the one where Sasuke fought like Velociraptors or something?
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I admit. It was stupid, but it was cool.
I don't remember if we talked about it, but this was like, they did some kind of voting for, is it Kishimoto, right? Is the Naruto author?
Yeah.
They did some kind of voting for like, oh, somebody's going to get a side story, and I think Naruto's dad won, and so that's what this is.
Naruto's boring, dumb dad won somehow. Yeah.
Confession.
Sorry, this is a hot take.
I have consumed essentially zero Naruto, right? Like I have dipped my toes into Bleach because I thought that appealed to me more than Naruto. I have heard that the first part of Naruto is okay or pretty good. Maybe so.
Naruto's pretty good. In retrospect, it's pretty good. The first part is very
Shippuden is the part that I think you have told me specifically that after it kind of hits Shippuden, it's like not nearly as good.
Yeah, in my opinion, it's not nearly as good, but it has one arc in it that I think is the best arc in the series.
Okay.
So I think the beginning of Shippuden is also very good. But
okay,
after that arc that I consider to be the best in the series, there's still a lot left, and I think it goes downhill pretty fast.
I'm going to Google how many chapters is Naruto, because I think it's like 700 chapters. Yes, 699 chapters.
I don't think you'd have a bad time reading it, but also, yeah, I guess it's a good read. I think it would be worth a read
Do you think it's
you need
better than
something
Bleach? Because I did try to read Bleach.
easily. Oh yeah,
Really? Okay, that's okay.
it's easily better than Bleach. Yeah.
That's wild to me, but maybe I'll do a video on. I tried to read Naruto. Here's how it went.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else in this manga list you wanted to bring up? Smoking Behind the Supermarket with You. I am glad that is coming out. I wish I understand the complexity behind licensing, producing, and publishing a manga in English. I wish these came a little faster because by the time we get like the first volume in English of Smoky Behind the Supermarket with You, that series is going to be almost 3 years old, which is kind of shitty in my opinion, right? I don't know. I don't want to belabor the point because I bring this up like every other week, but I really wish they were on top of just translate them faster, get them out, publish them as fast as you can. It would be better for everybody. So
I have to wonder if like print media is just more expensive here or something.
like the actual production of the books.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, potentially. I do not doubt that that's one of the many sort of complex reasons why we don't get things in a timely fashion, but
yeah, because they don't want to take
who knows?
risks with anything that will flop, right?
True.
Yeah, I have to think that's the case, but I don't know the real answer. So if somebody knows, let us know. I'm curious.
Yeah, I'd love to know too. I'm sure there's not a single answer. I think it's a complex one, but
yeah.
Speaking of simple answers, tell me about Mashle. This Mashle published its last chapter back on Sunday on July, what is that, the 2nd, I believe? Yeah, July 2nd, Mashle has ended. It's over. We talked about 2 or 3 weeks ago, you talked about how good the sort of climax battle was going. So how did you feel? Tell me how you felt about Mashle overall, about the last chapter, about the final, everything.
Overall, good ending, good series. You have to go into it knowing it's a parody, and it stays a parody. It is just a massive shitpost, and it is a ton of fun. And the ending, there are no panels I put up for the ending because it is effectively just like a narrated epilogue. It was cute, it was good, it was safe, and yeah, it wrapped up the series pretty well. And I think it's worth a read if you want
it's not super long. It's what, 140, 160 something chapters. So
and the chapters are fast and they're fun,
it's
right?
very action heavy, very goof heavy, like you mentioned. So
yeah, you'll have a good time reading it. Just don't take it seriously, and because it doesn't take itself seriously. So yeah, it's Saitama from One Punch Man going to Hogwarts is how I describe it, and it stuck to that the whole way through. So
yep. Yeah, I read the first, 15 or 20 chapters. It was fun. I don't necessarily feel the need to continue it, but I might go back and get through it. It's short and easy, like you were talking about. So cool.
I think there one thing that is that you would like out of it is how creative the fights are, because you have to make a guy who is super strong interesting in fighting situations, and you can't just keep punching people like Deku does. So Mash has a million different ways that he wins fights unconventionally using his muscles. Yeah, so I think like he was fighting a water guy. I'll give you a quick example. He was fighting a water guy, and he took a bucket and did like the Saitama million side steps in a second just to scoop all the water out, like a flood's worth of water out in a second, right?
Yeah.
It's goofy stuff like that, and it's great.
Yeah, I think I will probably get to this eventually. I'll be in the mood for something light, and I'll be like, oh, I can probably get through this in a couple days. Yeah, exciting. Yeah. I hope this author comes back to Jump. I think Jump always has room for more just straight funny and fun things. I really appreciate this author ended stuff on their own terms. I think that is smart and good. I like it when authors do that. It didn't get axed, so yeah, go check out Mashle.
Good stuff.
Let's see. No, go back. So let's do I just want to do a quick little minute or two discussion on all the new stuff that Jump has published, because it's been a lot. Let's start out with, did you read Chapter 2 of Icehead Gil? Because we talked about this last week, and we mentioned how a lot of our opinion on it relied on Chapter 2 slowing way down and taking its time. And I thought that it did. I also could not tell you a single thing that happened. I do not remember anything from it. It was not very memorable, but I do remember reading it and thinking it did slow down. Good for Ice Head Gil.
I intended to, but I'll be honest, I forgot that this manga existed. So I'll go do that for next time.
Yeah, I think this is.
What did you think of it?
You forgot that it existed. I read it and forgot that it existed. I don't know what that says. It still could become something that is okay. It is nothing is grabbed me and seemed outstanding or good enough. I believe this is the author's first serialized work. So for a first serialized work, I think it's going pretty well, at least for the first 2 chapters. It's not Nue's Exorcist. I'll keep calling that out as maybe one of the worst things Jump has ever published.
That was so bad. Yeah.
But we'll see. I definitely will continue reading it. I'll usually try to get 1 volume, which is 6, 7, 8 chapters. But yeah, I don't know. It feels kind of forgettable, and I don't know, nothing unique or memorable about it. So we'll see.
I'll keep going too. It was mean of me to forget. I was semi-positive on the first chapter, so I'm as well.
Legitimately, I read it on Sunday. I wake up, roll over my bed, pull my phone out, read all the manga. And then I'm thinking about what we're doing for episodes, like either later in the day or maybe on Monday. And I was like, oh yeah, chapter 2 of I Said Gil happened. And I cannot tell you a single event that happened in that chapter, which I don't think is good, which is not great. Let's talk about some good stuff then. Martial Master Asumi, the MMA, which has a great abbreviation. I like that it's called Martial Master Asumi and it is abbreviated as MMA. We've got 3 chapters of that. This is pretty good. I think this actually might be the best thing of the new grouping. I think this could go really far. I like this a lot.
It's the best of the. I didn't expect. I thought it would be pretty good because of the sumo manga this author released previously. But I didn't expect it to be the best of the lot. I actually like it. I'm enjoying it more than I did Tenmaku at this period.
I mean, I would even say that it's kind of more interesting than Tenmaku. I like Tenmaku, and I think that the art there I don't think is beaten by anything. But it also is very. I like the 3 main characters in Tenmaku, and I don't like any of the side characters. Are all kind of boring and forgettable. They aren't. I would not be surprised to see Tenmaku Cinema fail because it is not. It is not high energy. It is kind of fun, but not really fun. I don't know.
It's too slow to get to what it wants to get to.
Yeah, it really needs to. Yeah, it really needs to go somewhere. It is definitely taking its time. I wonder if they promised the author, because they were previously established guys who did Shokugeki no Soma. I wonder if they promised them, hey, we won't axe your manga in 22 chapters like we do with some of these other guys. You've got a year or you've got 18 months or something. So maybe taking their time will be fine.
100% they did.
You think?
Because
I would not.
Absolutely. Tenured mangaka get leeway. Same thing with Kishimoto and Samurai 8. Even though it was like not doing well, it went for a long time, and he got to conclude it on his terms. So
there you go. So yeah, I mean. But yeah, Martial Master Asumi I think is really good. Action's really good. The 2 main characters are great. I love the dad. It was fun in this last chapter who they were fighting.
Me too.
I'm curious to where it goes. I don't think we need to spend any time kind of predicting. I hope that they gets into some real MMA fighting, or time skips to some other thing, or there's some. I am always looking for a solid through line of. Where does the character want to go? What do they want? What do they need? Those sorts of things. So, but yeah, MMA, loving. Kill Blue is kind of the last thing on my list. I don't like this. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. I haven't been reading it the last 2 months, maybe. Kill Blue, I think, is, from what I have heard of reception, the most popular of the new things in Japan right now.
Oh, okay.
Which could be.
I didn't think it was like heinous or anything.
I agree. It is certainly not bad or offensive. I just thought it was mostly boring, and a little kind of tonally inconsistent. I also wonder. I always have to wonder when stuff is more popular in Japan than in the West here, if it is a translation thing. Sometimes translations can make things more boring or miss wordplay, or maybe it's not. Maybe it's more fun in Japan. I don't know. But yeah, I it'd be interesting to keep an eye on all of these. So no, the last little note here on all these new weekly Shonen Jump manga is that none of them have had a volume 1 published yet. Those will be coming fairly soon. We should be getting Tenmaku Cinema volume 1. I want to say probably in like a month or two, and then we'll kind of get them maybe for like a solid month, 2 months after that. That will more establish what is successful and what's not successful, as much as there's what's called the TOC rankings, which are sort of like what people were reading and how they sort of rank the series. Those rankings have never actually determined what gets cut. What really determines what gets cut is volume sales, volume sale growth over time, and stuff like that. So if you sell low volume 1 and you do not grow, then, for essentially they give them, I want to say like 3 volumes, because that's about 20 chapters. And then if by the 3rd volume you're not growing, you're canceled.
Yeah. And I'm hoping MMA is assuming is well received as well. I guess we'll see.
Cool. Let's take a quick break real quick, and we will be right back with our one more things. Okay. Do you need to actually take a break or no?
Nah, I'm good.
Okay, cool. Let's go on with it.
Alrighty.
Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking around. Here's what I did the past, actually just like 2 days over the weekend, July 4th and July 3rd, I guess. I read Brandon Sanderson's Tress of the Emerald Sea. This is part of a big, was it a Kickstarter push that Brandon Sanderson did last year to publish these 4 secret novels. This is the first of those secret novels. I've had this for like almost, maybe like 5 months now, and just hadn't gotten around to reading it. Read it. It was wonderful, really good. I actually liked it a lot more than I thought I was going to. It is very much a sort of Brandon Sanderson spin on the Princess Diaries. So if you think that would interest you, give it a check out. And Brandon Sanderson is very sort of involved with the mechanics of magic, the mechanics of his world, and stuff like that. So
that is awesome sounding. I love the Princess Diaries.
Check this out then. I mean, this is legitimately like it's a really easy read. It took me, like I said, 2 days to read it, probably only like maybe 10 or 12 hours total. It's really good. Legitimately really
Princess
good.
Diaries is pretty good. You're saying the Anne Hathaway movie, Princess Diaries. Or are you talking about the Princess Bride? I was thinking Princess Bride.
Is Princess Bride? I get those confused.
Yeah.
Princess Bride is what I'm thinking of. The fantasy thing.
Okay. I love the Princess Bride. Yeah.
Yes. Princess Bride. Yeah, I also love the Princess Diaries. I do think that's an awesome movie with Anne Hathaway, but I was not talking about that. Yeah, you're right. Princess Bride. Yes.
That cover's really pretty. Yeah.
Well, the cover's great. The binding and everything.
What is a Tress?
Tress is the name of the girl. Essentially, the premise of this is Tress is a plain normal girl on a small backwoods island. And the boy that she loves is like the mayor's son. He gets shipped off and is lost at sea, and she kind of escapes the island to go after and look for him. The sort of Brandon Sanderson not sciencey, like magic science, cool mechanic world thing is that the world that she lives on has 12 moons. Each of those 12 moons is continually dumping spores onto her planet. Those spores land on her planet, and under the spores there's like air coming up. So the idea, essentially, Brandon has said, is based on like liquefaction of sand, right? If you like pump air up through sand, it turns into a liquid. So essentially there's air coming up through these spores, so that she sails on these spore seas. That's kind of the cool magic thing. And if any water gets on the spores, crazy stuff happens. The Emerald Sea that she comes from, right? The emerald spores, if you get water on them, they grow these like enormous vines and branches and stuff. So there's lots of cool fantasy, science-y kind of stuff behind all of that. And it's a really interesting world of, these massive moons dumping spores, which are then liquefied with air pumping from underneath that you sail on. And sometimes the air stops and the seas, come to a stop. So they're, at one point in the story, they're in like a naval ship battle and the seas stop. And so the other ship is like, oh, well, they're just sitting there. We can just shoot back at them. But it's also very kind of little bit of Treasure Island in there. There's a lot of pirating, kind of her being on a pirate ship is a big part of it. So really fun. Can't recommend it enough. Definitely better than the last one or two Brandon Sanderson books I've read, although they're all, I think, very good. So
yeah, the guy's a talent.
For sure. All right, tell me what you've done this past week.
Yeah, so this weekend, well, firstly, most importantly, I read Nausicaa with my buddy Bruce over here.
Yep.
We talked about that in our video.
And that video is up now. That got published this morning,
check it
so you
out.
can go check it out.
It was a really good discussion. I thoroughly enjoyed Nausicaa. As did you, right? You like the first chapter.
Very impressed with how good the first volume was. The more than I was expecting, for sure, of something from 1982, right? Which sometimes older things don't hold up in the modern day, but Nausicaa really does. Very good.
Honestly, you guys should check out the first volume / chapter. It's called a chapter in this publication of Nausicaa, and keep up with us. It will be a ton of fun, I promise.
Yeah, we're doing a little read through on the channel, so check that out.
Yeah. Aside from that, I watched Ford versus Ferrari. It was great. I thought it was a very fun, entertaining movie. And dark and sad at a few points, but all in all, I thought it was a wild ride. It is really funny how these huge things happen. Like Ford making a sports car all happened over petty grievances.
Yes. The story of the Ford GT is one of the most interesting ones. It's they got mad at Porsche. Is it Porsche that they are like mad at? I think
they were mad at Ferrari because
Ferrari. Yeah, it's on the fucking title. They like mad at Ferrari. They build their own sports car. They race in Le Mans once, win it, and then they don't ever go back. Like Ford has never been back to Le Mans.
Oh no! They won 3 years after that. But then
maybe they won for like a couple years and then they just have never been back. So maybe that's what it is. I know that it's like they just like did it and were like, haha, we're the best, and then just never went back.
Yeah, they won for a few years and then I'm assuming they stopped pouring money into making good cars. Yeah. But yeah, it was over a petty grievance when they tried to buy out Ferrari's team, and Enzo Ferrari told them to go fuck themselves.
Yeah.
And I looked it up afterwards. It's the same way Lamborghini started. Is Enzo Ferrari had an argument with whatever Lamborghini, and he's like, I can make my own sports cars better than you, and that's how Lamborghini came to be. It's all over.
I want to say Ferrari has spawned like 3 or 4 or 5 different car manufacturers or models or something. Because I want to say Lamborghini, like I think Maserati maybe also is an offshoot of Ferrari at some point back in their ancient history. But yeah.
I think it's just hilarious how insane human innovation comes from some guy's ego getting a little hurt.
Yeah, I googled it real quick. Maserati was initially associated with Ferrari. So
that's all. Yeah, it's just it's so funny. We have these super machines that defy the laws of physics. Sometimes it feels like that were all innovated and created because two egotistical, narcissistic old men had an argument over lunch.
Because Enzo Ferrari, 1, was really good at making cars, and 2, an absolute asshole.
Like, an absolute asshole.
Had a great team of making cars, yeah.
To be fair, Ford was also an asshole, but it's just funny. It's just like 2 petty assholes having a little fight, having a little tiff, led to millions upon millions being spent to create these beastly machines. You know?
Yeah, with a bunch of car companies that are still around today, and car models that are still sold today, right? Ferrari, Maserati, what was the other one we mentioned? Lamborghini. The Ford GT, I think, is still sold, although it is a very, very different car than it was in 1962 or whatever that was. But yeah, this is a really good movie. I saw this maybe a year and a half ago. But yeah, it's great.
It was solid.
Christian Bale's one of the greatest working actors today, maybe the greatest one. Matt Damon also very good.
I would say Bale is probably the best. In the past, I would have given it to Daniel Day-Lewis, but I think
does less work now, but yeah, also an exceptional actor.
He does less work, and also Christian Bale works his body for every role he's in, and I don't know how he manages to do that, how he has the willpower to do that, but
very method actor.
Yeah. Matt Damon asked him, fun fact, Matt Damon asked him, was like, how did you lose so much weight for this role? And Bale was like, oh, it's simple. I just stopped eating.
Yeah. I mean, he's talked about, so Christian Bale did The Machinist, where he went down to like, now Christian Bale is like 6'2", I think, like maybe 6'3", 6'1". He's pretty tall. He got down to like 110 pounds or something, which is insane for The Machinist. And he ate like one apple and a little thing of like applesauce or yogurt like every day, and drank water, or like didn't drink that much water to look like more gaunt. And then in the span of like 9 months, bulked up to like 280 for Batman immediately after that. And they told him when he was on Batman, like, hey, you bulked up too much. Can you lose more pounds? And he was like, okay, and lost like 30 pounds and was like, yeah, svelte 255 or something for Batman. So
I can't even imagine having that much self-restraint. I truly can't.
I do not. I just simply do not have that much self-restraint.
Man. Well, he said he's going to stop doing these full transformations after this because
I'm sure it has to take a toll on his body. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, anything else for this week? I think we've about covered it.
No, that's about it.
Cool. Thank you everyone so much for being with us. Don't forget, if you want to check out a little bit more curated content, the White Gray Black YouTube channel is there. Check us out on YouTube on this channel, White Gray Black Weekly Manga Podcast. That's where we do this podcast once a week. And like Gauta mentioned, we're doing that Nausicaa read through. Volume 1 is up. We'll have Volume 2 up next Wednesday morning, I will say. Look for that on Wednesdays. Look for this podcast on Saturdays. You can also listen to us always on your favorite podcast distributor of choice. We are on Apple Podcasts. We are on Spotify. All those great things. If you want to help us out, the best thing you can do, give us a like, give us a subscribe, stick around, watch our stuff. We can't ask for anything more. We could ask for anything more. We could ask for money, patreon.com/WGBmanga, if you want to give us a little bit of cash there. We do have bonus episodes up there, so you're not paying money for nothing. Check me out on Twitter at WGBmanga if you want to suggest something or chat with me. Leave a comment. Leave a review on your podcast thing. That's apparently a big thing that I learned really recently. Go leave a review on Apple Podcasts. That would be great for us. Yeah, other than that, thank you so much for being with us this week.
See you, everyone.
Please come back next week, and don't forget to read more manga.